I think the most important thing, Rajiv, was the canvas that Flipkart provided all the early team members. Imagine all the young boys and girls. They have an access to like $1 billion of capital and aspiration to just build multiple categories. I wouldn't say that I can classify myself as one single leader in particular area, but areas which I understand and I think I can contribute to. I love to be very involved and even look at the minutest of the details, which I think I can't contribute much. Then there I just focus on being updated through metrics or through updates. I think very clearly I've talked myself into those buckets. On the other hand, if I have to think about how my engagement style with the team is, I think I really thrive on problem solving together with the team. And of course, it can have different ways in which it's achieved, but I would prefer if problems are flagged off very, very early to me so that we can still solve it while it is solvable. If you want to build a mid-sized business, you can easily go after the largest category. And that's why three pizza brands, purely because if you look at out of every 100 rupees spent on food in India, in online orders, about 8% is biryani and about 11% is pizza.
And thanks, Ankit, for your time today. I think it's been so many different chats that I've had with Ankit over the years, seen his rise across Flipkart, have had so many friends who have both worked with him, worked for him. And I think everyone swears by his crazy ability to execute. But we will unpack a bunch of that from all of his experiences. And I think, as I was already mentioning, I think a bunch of people here on the audience is people who are looking to hopefully the next 5, 7, 10 years be another Ankit and build across a variety of categories. So first, before we get on to your actual professional journey, where did this crazy passion for sports start? And I think you should tell people about the stuff that you do with respect to sports outside of work
Sure.
too.
Yeah, so I think growing up, I was an active athlete, played a lot of cricket at different levels, school, college, district, and then went to IIT. Thankfully, most IITs have a very, very active sports culture. I would actually rate the level at IIT pretty high, because a lot of kids from different parts of the country come together. And the inter-IIT competition is super competitive. People just do that. Like people who are into sports, the only thing they do is prepare for inter-IIT every year. And sports is and studies is a byproduct. That's exactly how it was for me. Made the captain and then post that continued playing. Thankfully in Bangalore, there's a strong sporting culture. There are amazing cricket grounds, a lot of corporate tournaments, continued playing all through from Flipkart to Cult and now even at Curefoods. But last couple of years, just stopped playing cricket a lot, but continued playing badminton, etc. While this journey was happening, while we were building Cult, we realized that a lot of athletes, we hired a lot of athletes as trainers and fitness experts at Cult, and we figured that it's very difficult to, get good jobs. For these people, it's very difficult to get good jobs after their playing career, and that's when we started Simply Sport Foundation, finding a way to create a after sports journey for these people. And basically, our motto is to empower an athlete in sport and life. In sport, of course, how can they be the best version of themselves? And once they give up or they can't make it to the highest level, how can they continue a career? And that's what we've been doing with Simply Sport Foundation. And it's a non-profit which me and my wife run. And very happy with what we've been able to do in less than 4 years. And given that it's a side gig, so hopefully we'll continue doing more. So that's in a nutshell, Rajiv. Yeah.
Awesome. No, thanks for that. Before we get on to the main part, I certainly wanted to touch upon that. So now let's come to, your entirety of your work journey, right?
Yes.
What are the things that you very specifically feel that Flipkart did for you or you did at Flipkart, either as learning from, let's say, Binny and Sachin and all the others, as well as just the opportunities that were there that has, you believe, made you both as a leader and as a founder today?
Yeah. I think the most important thing, Rajiv, was the canvas that Flipkart provided all the early team members. Imagine all the young boys and girls. They have an access to like $1 billion of capital and aspiration to just build multiple categories. Multiple categories would mean anything which is very, very large, whether it's electronics or fashion or grocery or whatnot, right? So, and we didn't have a lot of P&L pressure, if I may. We only had like growth aspiration, nothing pulling us back. The only metric in the first few years was to get like millions of customers. So I think the largest thing that worked for us was, of course, the aspiration of being India's largest in everything that we take up, and a lot of capital to back that, and an aspiration at a leadership level which is insane. I remember in 2011 or 12 when Sachin announced that we'll be $1 billion GMV, we were still doing $15 million revenue, 50 million. And when he said, I remember it was in some event like this, he said, कि हम लोग 2015 से पहले will be $1 billion revenue. And we're like, how would we grow 20x? I think we are 25 million. How would we grow for 40x? And that's when we said, okay, we can launch a lot of new categories. Mobile revolution happened and all of that. So I think each time we hit a big milestone, we put a very, very large, moving goalpost ahead of us. When we were $1 billion revenue, then he said, okay, it's still not happened, but we're still halfway, almost 40% there. Flipkart is 40% there. Then it could be $100 billion GMV. I think it's a $20 billion, $25 billion. So it's not out of ordinary now if they hit a 100 billion in the next 10 years, right? So I think the aspiration was massive. The fuel was there with respect to the best of the best investors backing the company, and the talent density was insane. Like I still feel most of my biggest learnings have come from those 6 years, 6.5 years that I spent there. And post that, it's just been execution and executing the learnings that I had. But imagine like having the best talent working there and you feeding off each other's energy and learnings and passion. I think that was the best thing. I think why Flipkart was such a big success is because of the talent density, the capital available, and both Sachin and Bini having an aspiration which is just was like a moving goalpost. Yesterday we had a very big event in the startup ecosystem with Swiggy listing at a $12 billion valuation. But imagine 2017, Flipkart, sold to Walmart at 17 billion. So like to like, it would be 35 billion today. So I'm just saying that, imagine a same outcome, 2x bigger, 7 years back. That was the speed and size at which Flipkart executed like early on. So that's the result. We are seeing so many unicorns coming up.
No, and I, all the interactions that we have had, and I think you started with cricket and then went on to this. I think Binny is an investor in Triantler India,
Yes.
and it's just been phenomenal just to, one conversation with, I'm sure Sachin or Binny was fantastic. So I have one sort of other question with respect to this. If I were to ask what kind of a leader Ankit is,
Yes.
what would best classify that?
Very hands-on. I think I choose my areas where I am okay to not be hands-on, but areas where I choose to be hands-on, I'm very deep, very very particular. So I wouldn't say that I can classify myself as one single leader in particular area, but areas which I understand and I think I can contribute to. I love to be very involved and even look at the minutest of the details. Areas which I think I can't contribute much, then there I just focus on being updated through metrics or through updates. I think very clearly I've chalked myself into those buckets. On the other hand, if I have to think about how my engagement style with the team is, I think I really thrive on problem solving together with the team, and of course it can have different ways in which it's achieved, but I would prefer if problems are flagged off very, very early to me so that we can still solve it while it is solvable. A lot of times, people don't bring challenges to you because you don't like bad news. But I may react to bad news badly, but I would love to still get it very soon. So.
That's I guess all leaders. Okay, so now moving on from Flipkart to your CultFit and EatFit journey very specifically. So obviously to start a brand like CultFit, and I think it's been one of the most phenomenal brands, and then to take and I know through obviously some of our common friends, the amount of focus you personally used to do on food as a category, even in the CultFit days, right? What was that transition like? Why
Yes.
health? And then why sort of branch off and really focus on food? If you can walk people through that.
But I think post Flipkart, Cult seemed like a smaller opportunity, but also, it was a different journey. Flipkart was a platform that we we're building, and Cult was a wellness house of brands that we're building. And so it required a very different mindset, Rajiv. It required us to go extremely deep in the category and almost get like double-digit market share. If we had any chance to make a large company. The categories that we were in, which is gyms and health food. Health food is a new discovery altogether. There was no health food brand in the country. Subway was classified as health food, which is absolutely not the case. And gyms, were notorious for taking people's money, not returning, people writing it off in the second month of the year and whatnot. So the journey was extremely tough because we had to create new behaviors, and for that you need to do something very disruptive. I'll just talk about two things, one each in fitness and food, and then I'll talk about why I was more my affinity towards food business. So I think fitness, one thing which we did was very clear. In the first 12 months, we said anyone who stops coming to the gym will return the money. And would proactively call them and say, "Yaar, paisa wapas le lo, don't spoil our metrics." Because we would have like, continuity metrics and attendance and frequency as the metrics, and would say, "Yeah, you just take the money back," because we don't want to be known for people who give money, and because we were also expensive, we were 2x more expensive than a regular gym, so we didn't want that. And in 50% cases, people would say, "No, yeah, don't do that. We'll come," because no one wants to agree to the fact that we are not signing up for health. So if you sign up for health, you either sign up for health or don't, right? So if you say that I'm taking the money back, then you're saying that I don't want to be healthy. So that helped. In the food, I think the biggest thing was, while everyone thought that health food is salads and whatnot, we actually redefined the whole thing as dal roti sabzi. We said, okay, if we really want to build a healthy eating habit, you need to target the lowest hanging fruit. The lowest hanging fruit was the office lunch, which was earlier done through small time caterers, extremely bad quality, very oily food, probably stale food. And we said, why not just target the audience, which is, eating really, really bad food. And we opened up the subscription only for cult customers. So created that concept of, exclusivity. And the first 5,000 subscribers, which was a large number, 5,000 food subscriptions, we went all the way up to 25,000 subscribers, at peak. 5,000 subscribers just eating dal roti sabzi, rotating menu, 7-day rotating, and we did some small hacks here and there, superfood of the day. And we said, if you really want to make a food stand out, you can't do much in Indian food. We use raita as our canvas. It's white color, you can add any flavor, it changes color and taste, right? We had a beetroot raita, we had a green color raita and a purple color raita, by adding different vegetables ka puree. And every day when people would open their platter, they're like, "Aaj kaun se color ka raita hai," right? So it became a kind of a thing, especially in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai kind of clusters. Why I spent more time on food versus fitness? Both businesses are very large, but I just personally felt that food is 10x more, 10x bigger when it comes to just the addressable audience. Would take probably longer time to get that double-digit market share. Right now, on Swiggy, Zomato put together, we would be 2 to 2.5% market share, which is still pretty significant given the fact that they do 4 million deliveries a day put together. But to get to 10% market share, probably need 7-8 more years. Cult is already at 25-30% market share, if I may take a guess on the gyms business. It was bigger, but the size of pie is much bigger. The impact is huge if you're able to solve for good food. Now I'm not just talking about healthy food, because of course now we have grown beyond just EatFit, and we have a biryani brand and a couple of pizza brands and dessert. But within each category, can we be the best quality food, which people can vouch for? And that's what the endeavor has been. And that's what led me to hive off food business, because under Curefit, doing other categories would have looked pretty odd. And we said, okay, let's do more. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. I think EatFit was probably a good fit within it. But if you had to, so what would you classify as the vision statement, or now what's the charter for the next 5 years, 10 years, as you see? Curefoods, I think, is the
I think the
master.
mission is very clear, Rajiv. Our purpose is make honest food that customers love. So honest ka definition is there for each category. For EatFit and HRX kind of category, it is absolutely healthy food. Like, it can be the pinnacle of health food with respect to ingredient quality, etc. For a biryani brand, it would be no saturated fats, no trans fats, no palm oil. 50% revenue coming from lean meats. So what we have done is we have classified the definition of honest food for every brand, every category. It makes our business challenging, because the cost of honest food is higher. But that's the minimum we can do, if you want to serve better quality food. better storage techniques, better cooking techniques, a lot of low quality players, including large players. So I'm not talking about standalone restaurants. A lot of large Indian chains would have very poor temperature management, and hence the food goes bad, and you don't really know it went bad. So it's there. I think the other area why we balance the statement with honest food that customers love, because you can always go to the other extreme and say, I'll do a brown rice biryani for Sharif Bhai, but no one would love it. So you still have to do better biryani. So which is why we don't use basmati in Sharif Bhai. It's been a big challenge getting customers to start liking the small grain rice, but it is better than basmati. And that was been one commitment to our biryani brand, that let's not do basmati, polished basmati. So we do an unpolished Jeerak Samba rice, which is probably 10% better, but that's the commitment. So honest food that customers love. So that's the purpose. Yeah.
Got it. And obviously, as Curefoods, you're a bit of a house of brands of variety of foods. Now, I have two, three things to unpack before I get to, foods as a
Yes.
category, right? If you just take a very, a layman's view, you have, let's say, restaurants, fine dining places, let's say a barbecue nation kind of a thing where a lot of the revenue comes from physical restaurants. You have potentially cloud kitchens where, maybe there is some offline, but a lot of it comes from, let's say, online. And then there's
Yes.
packaged food, right? Let's say packed food, which can be sold through even Instamart and, the
Yeah.
likes. Would you play only in one of these three or all of these three in the future? Like, how do you see this?
See, given that we've chosen food as a canvas or food as a playing field, we want to be everywhere where the customer is. Let me detail this out. So, even the food journey in the country, it started off only as so in the country, India, eating non-home food started as packaged food. Then a few standalone restaurants came, then Indian chains came, then QSR, then cloud kitchens. This has been the journey. Probably we're going the reverse. We're starting with cloud kitchen, and now then we'll go with QSR, and then we go to packaged food. So even today, now we have about close to 500 distribution points, Raji, out of which 330 are cloud kitchens, but 170 are actually physical locations where customers can either dine out or dine in or pick up the food from 170 locations. About 30% of our revenue is already offline. And very recently, we started our packaged food division purely because we want to cover the entire share of wallet, and we have the backend. All our food gets done in 6 central kitchens, which are then transported to the cloud kitchens and the restaurants and the dark kitchens through the logistics. And these manufacturing facilities can actually produce packaging. First category is juices. So we have started a range of juices which are sold on Instamart. We have a full, so given that CakeZone is such a large business for us, we have now started doing packaged cakes. Just think of, Britannia cakes or Baker's Dozen and whatnot. So we've got a full range, brownies and tea cakes and Mava cakes, everything sold across Instamart, Amazon, and Blinkit. And the last category is just the healthy snacks under EatFit logo, which is trail mixes, protein bars. It's only on Amazon right now. Very small business, just I think only 1%, 1.5% of our revenue is coming from that. But I feel that it just extends the brand in a very beautiful manner, does not add any extra cost, and leverages the existing infrastructure. So I feel that if I have to take a 5-year view, cloud will be 50% of our revenue, 40 will be offline, and 10% will be packaged food. So that would still make us a meaningful business, given that if 10% is coming from packaged food, it still be like a 200 crore business, which is probably will be one of the larger D2C brands, while it's still an ancillary for us.
Interesting. I think the way you painted it was interesting. And, obviously, when people look, at foods as a category, and there's so much passion for foods as a category for a variety of reasons that you said, everyone eats every day. There's 90 meals. Even a Swiggy today, I don't know what the latest number is. Maybe they have 8 meals or 7 meals or some very small number, right? Which is
Yeah, seven. Yeah.
7, right? So obviously the opportunity at some level from comfort and, is that there's a wide, canvas out there. In terms of for food entrepreneurs, what would be the top 2, 3 things that they should look out? Or when would you say a founder, right, is actually fit to be a food entrepreneur?
Right. I think I want to start off by giving a disclaimer. Food is probably one of the toughest business one can be in, especially if you want to be in multi-location businesses, right? So anything where food. So I'll tell you why food is tough. It is perishable. it is it is daily. So yeah, it is perishable and daily. Very, very rare combination. Like poultry is daily, but not perishable daily. It is like eggs have a 7 day shelf life. So that way. Second, the taste varies with the ingredients. So if you're creating, if you're cooking pav bhaji today, there's 17 different vegetables that go into that, and any of the vegetables not being good can really screw the taste. So depends on water, spices, and the fresh produce. And thirdly, if you are creating a 500 location business, there is no scale advantage in any individual store. So it's not like e-commerce where you set up a big warehouse and it can grow 10x. The first store will reach its potential revenue in month 3, and then there is no growth. So you need to be very patient about setting up the second store, third store, fourth store. So I think I always say that getting the first 1 crore revenue per month for a food brand is not tough at all. But to be able to grow that into 5 crore is like a very tough thing. And 10 crore is almost impossible. The number of 100 crore food brands in India is actually a lot. I always say there are 100 crore food brands, but that's only 100. Only 100 crore food brands in India. While in packaged food alone, which is like a much younger category, D2C brands, my guesstimate is 30 brands are already there, or 35 brands are already there. And by the time we hit 2030, there'll be 300 brands doing 100 crore revenue in packaged food. And I'm not surprised that the big conglomerates are finding all the reasons to say that the India's economy is not growing and the middle class is missing, because they are seeing their volumes diminish. Britannia and Parle and Nestle said that our volumes are diminishing because India is not growing. I think the problem is that these new brands are not on any of these Nielsen's of the world where you get the sales data. I don't think Instamart and Blinkit are on Nielsen, and all their sales data syndication is from Kirana and stockists, old stockists. So coming back to the food entrepreneur piece, packaged food definitely easier than a hot food business, purely because one factory and easy distribution. Of course, it's very tough to be on Blinkit, Instamart these days. Like if you just keep reaching out to them, you're lucky if you get it. But of course, you can always start on Amazon. And my advice to most people is that if you build a decent business on Amazon, you go to Blinkit, Instamart, show your numbers. Why will they not take you, right? It's same as any other channel. You have to show success in some channel. And Amazon, your destiny is still in your control because you can do marketing, you can do FBA and whatnot, right? So for food, packaged food, easier, but not as easy as any other non-perishable category. Hot food, very tough. What one should look at is if you are getting significant love in at least 3 markets. If you are building a biryani brand or a burger brand, you might do really well in HSR, because the crowd is very different. Then you should go to a completely different market like a North Bangalore, which is like from a demography point of view, extremely different. You try and do the same thing. If you still see similar or better metrics, then go to third geography. It could be a different catchment. It could be a mall, it could be an airport, it could be a metro station, so that you also test different distribution points. If you are able to get success in three out of these 4 or 5 experiments that you do, then you've got product with legs, and there's some business product acceptance. And that's where you need to see whether your business can be scalable, whether it can be back-ended. Having end-to-end process in all these 3 locations are nothing but 3 individual businesses where you're just investing into 3 standalone businesses. If you're able to back-end it with some sort of gravies being centralized, sauces, condiments, marinades being centralized, then you have a business in place. So food business is super attractive. I talk to like 50 out of my 100 friends would say that at some point in time we want to have a restaurant. Always do that. Do a restaurant or a club or a cafe for passion, and you may as well make money, but you can't lose more than 2 lakhs a month if you're just doing a small cafe. But if you're building a large business, assuming that you do 10 locations, you can lose a crore a month without even you knowing. So very tough business. You do it only if you're ready to do a 20 hours into 6 days a week kind of a grind. That's what most food entrepreneurs end up doing. So.
Oh, wow. No wonder you stopped playing cricket. I think, this is one thing that I've consistently heard, right? To create multiple brands across all the 3 categories is obviously, one small mistake somewhere is going to blow up, right? In food, that's the other thing. People are so passionate. The great thing will not come on social media, but that one mistake is going to come on social media, right? So I think it's such a difficult category generally. And so if you were to, a couple of questions before I move to the brand marketing part of it,
Yes.
what would you say, given, I mean, I assume you folks will be into every single subcategory. You already have three pizza brands, and I don't know what are three pizza brands? I always wanted to.
We've got a pizza brand called Nomad, which is our gourmet brand. It's like a for $15 pizza, like a 1,200 rupee pizza. Extremely gourmet and slow cooked in a brick oven. Then we have a mass pizza brand called Olio. Both are pretty scalable, sizable now, the 100 crore kind of numbers. And the third pizza brand is just the healthier pizza, which is EatFit, which is a millet pizza and a multi-grain pizza. That falls under the EatFit brand. There is a small spin-off of healthier foods. Yeah.
You're obviously talking about the pizza brands, and that was good. Where do you see the opportunity? If I were to, obviously you folks will enter many categories, but where do you really see opportunities in terms of either a category or some kind of an angle for other founders to get in?
I think for anyone to start a new business, Rajiv, I actually disagree with a thought process that you need to find niche areas or slivers of opportunity. If you want to build a mid-sized business, you can easily go after the largest category, and that's why three pizza brands. Purely because if you look at every out of every 100 rupees spent on food in India, in online orders, about 8% is biryani, and about 11% is pizza. So if you can't not be in those categories. And then there's the top five categories is 40%, and there's a very long tail. And you may still see that in the long tail also a lot of pizza and biryani exists, because in a darshini also you may have a pizza in the menu, right? So I would say that if you want to like build a short food business, you can definitely do a decent pizza, decent biryani. South Indian is a very great cuisine. So purely from a food, probably from an opportunity point of view, always go after large markets. I even in my angel investment thesis, etc. I disagree when young founders come and say that I found this very unique opportunity where I can really rule the roost if I build the product. I think rather go at a large market where even if you are at 0.5% market share, you are not dying. That's the thought process. I'm seeing a lot of coffee proposals these days, coffee business plans these days. I think people are missing the trick there by just focusing on experience rather than the product. Coffee businesses have traditionally worked because they're 85% gross margin businesses. For that, you should have the pricing power, you should have the ability to source cheap. But a lot of people are just saying, I will do this and I'll add this flavor, I'll do cherry, berry flavors. No, you have to build an 85% gross margin business. That's why coffee businesses work, because the customer turn is very low. People sit there for 90 minutes, 180 minutes, and you need to be able to earn through them just by the virtue of being higher GP. So knowing the nuances where the consumers have higher margin, consumers have higher propensity to spend and are willing to like really, do it at high frequency. So high frequency, high GP, and large market. These are the three combinations that I really look after. Look at.
Look at, and should a food entrepreneur be a foodie himself or herself?
Absolutely, this is true for any category. I think at Flipkart, whichever category we launched, whichever category, and my wife jokes with me that I became slightly more fashionable. I was very boring, blacks and blues and whatnot. I'm trying to get at least some color in my wardrobe, because I ran the fashion business, and otherwise, if you can't run a business successfully if you're not passionate about what you're building. And mobile phones, I remember when we were running mobile phones category, I think every one of us, leadership team, had an Android, had an iPhone, had a tablet, because you need to know what you're selling, especially when you are getting into exclusive relationships with brands. So trying out the new Motorola, trying out the new Xiaomi, and not just doing it as a consumer, but knowing what specs work, what operating system work. This is early days of Android, and there were a couple of other operating systems also being there. Huawei was there, and this and there, having a strong point of view. And with food, I think it works with food, fashion, home decor, anything with a softer touch. You can't do a business if you're not passionate. And I am a huge proponent of the fact that if you're a food business person, you need to be able to cook also. You should know what goes into good food, right? So, and being passionate, like one of the core beliefs, we've documented a set of core beliefs for our business. The core beliefs, Rajiv, is that you should be an absolute foodie if you're coming to Curefoods, and it need not mean that you just dine at a Michelin star restaurant. You should be as passionate about eating a chaat somewhere, and as passionate about going to a fine dine place to just a pav bhaji place, right? So that's how it should be. Yeah.
Interesting. One last question on this bucket. I think I can talk a lot. There's a bunch of questions which I'll anyway cover.
Yes.
Uh, what's product market fit for a new food entrepreneur? Like, how will you measure that?
See, I'm a huge believer of a philosophy called 1,000 true fans. And we actually followed that. I discovered that during my cult stint, and I really, really followed that there. And 1,000 true fans is nothing but 1,000 regular customers. You can define it any which ways depending on the frequency of your business. For cult, 1,000 meant 1,000 people who do at least 10 classes a month at cult center. That's what we defined. For food, we said 1,000 customers who placed 10 orders a quarter, because with single brand, if you don't achieve that frequency, in a single location, by the way, not a single location, a catchment, which will have 2-3 kitchens or a 2-3 cult center. So I would say outer ring road is the benchmark. So 1,000 customers there, because that's when we start seeing the word of mouth. And I'll talk about non-Curefoods brands in food where we would have felt that. I think ITC launched a cloud kitchen brand a couple of years back, and now I keep hearing the name Master Chef. Uska badam halwa bahut acha hai. The best dal you can get is that. Of course, Araku Cafe, just one location, but we hear that a lot in Indanagar circles. But 500 people would have told me. So that's the product market fit. See, one definition of product market fit, which is very subjective, is when you feel when you get a similar feel as you get, when an aircraft is taking off, that torque. When you start feeling that in your life, then that's when you know your business is doing well. Examples of that would be you go to a party and 10 people say, dude, I really like what you're doing. I've tried that product. It could be a credit card, which you are offering. One of my ex-colleagues is running a credit card company, and I used that credit card when I was traveling abroad, and it had no whatever the conversion charges, etc. And it's just so seamless, right? So I came back and told him, and I remember in that very event, 3 other people told him that. So I was like, dude, you're getting that product market fit. I remember for that travel card. So this is when it happens, when cult mein, the product market fit was just people looking fitter and better, and so many people, would tell us at Flipkart. I remember very early on, 2011, 12, while I'm talking about non-food, but it's all the same. 2011, 12, I remember I was in Bombay for some meetings, etc. And in one event or one party, I had like 20 people surrounding me. Like, how the hell do you deliver books in 3 days? Back then, 3 days was like 10 minutes. How do you do it? So I think when people start coming and telling you, but more importantly, if you can get that 1,000 people in X many days, X many weeks with X Z frequency, I would say that's the thing. Purely for a single location business, if you're not profitable in third month, you will never be profitable. Because there is no leverage of scale in a single location in food. And that is something which many people don't realize. Your numbers just don't grow. Month 3 to 4, maybe you'll grow, but month 5 onwards, they are just flat. And then, of course, you have to increase prices every year to be able to get that triple SG, the same store growth, and to be able to keep up the margins because of inflation. So that's how it is done.
Interesting. Before I go to the marketing part of it, what are, you see so much, of course, these are all, some of it is conjecture, some of it is news. There's so much money suddenly in the late stage, you see Theo Brahma, which is just down below, and even a bunch of other brands we have heard like Belgian waffle and stuff. What's
Yes.
suddenly making it interesting for money to come into this category at such late stage?
I think just the stock market macroeconomics here, Rajiv. If you look at the listed stock markets, the total revenue of these people put together, I was doing some math, 65. I can't give a wrong number out, but the total valuation of Jubilant plus Devyani plus Sapphire, these are all the franchisees of American brands. Jubilant is Domino's, Devyani is KFC plus Pizza Hut, Sapphire is KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell. Then there is Burger King and McDonald's. All of them put together are valued at, give or take, $15 billion on the stock market. $5-6 billion of Jubilant, $3 billion of Devyani, and so on. This number was $13 billion last year, and maybe $12 billion the year after. So 0 to 10 happened very, very quickly, Rajiv, for them. But now 10 to 15 has been, at the cost of each other. Jubilant, while a brilliant business, has been slightly stagnant with its stock price. Devyani is doing well. Sapphire has gone down. But there has been money in this segment for a very, very long time. A lot of late-stage investors, Ps, American FIIs, and even the mutual funds love this sector. But there has been stagnation in revenues. I think the revenue growth across these 6 brands has been less than 10% year on year. And which is why Devyani in this latest result announced they're acquiring 3 more franchisees of a tea brand coming to India. It's a bubble tea brand. They're getting an Asian brand and an American fries brand. It's called New York Fries. Amazing thought process. Like, this is how we think, that when the same store growth stops, then we add one more brand to that store, right? So the same thing is happening with the Ps. They have seen how the American... So Domino's is valued at 5 billion, then many companies are just valued at billion, 2 billion. It's been valued at 5 billion for a very long time. So food is very, very IPO friendly, which is why we're also thinking of listing the company. And all kinds of investors, retail investors love it because they consume the food, they're passionate about it. HNIs love it. They love the bragging rights of being early supporters of these kind of brands, and the private equity. Belgian waffle, very, very smart business. Very low on infrastructure, very low on capex, good revenues. Theobrama has been a classic example of a very, very good homegrown brand sustaining its quality, brilliant EBITDAs. But it's all doing because there is opportunity in creating more listed entities. We'll see a lot more of these multiple brands coming together. Me, Jaideep of Rebel, and Boxit Boys. We don't need to come together to list because we already have decent scale and multiple brands. But any single brand owner would love to, consolidate 2-3 brands. And I'm hearing a lot of this consolidation going to happen. And I suspect we'll see a lot more of this in D2C space. I think there will be a beauty house of brands and food house of brands very soon. Before we know, there'll be 5-6 brands coming together to join hands and take the companies public.
And that makes so much sense also. One question on brand and marketing, so I can jump to the actual questions that are coming.
Yes.
What sort of in the new age of, obviously quick commerce, at least for some categories as distribution, how do you stand out as a brand? Even let's say it's a new brand, the 1,000 customers are, let's say, coming, but how do you really stand out? Like, is there some, something that founders should, at least in the 0 to 1, 1 to 10 stages?
I think both for packaged food and prepared food, hot food, the product has to be extraordinary, Rajiv, because one, you will be in a crowded marketplace, but I'm assuming that you got your first 1,000 customers, which is also a 1-year journey. I think getting your first 1,000 customers will be like a 6 to 12-month journey. You have to extraordinarily stand out. And again, not taking Curefoods examples, Pizza Bakery, which is a pizza brand in Bangalore, when it became popular, they were the only ones doing the stuffed garlic bread that they were doing. I think they were extraordinary and very early on and very good. The other example I would say is in packaged food, probably what Baker's Dozen has done with their range of breads. I don't think anyone had such a wide range of bakeries. And so I think you need to have slightly novel concepts, but still play to the masses and deliver that experience. Like the first 10 experiences of a customer in food category, I think they will be slightly forgiving after the 10th experience, but in the first 10 experience, you get one wrong, which is a very high probability, by the way, in food business, is very, very unforgiving. I think we continue to see drop-offs from our funnel purely because we are at a defect rate of 1.6, 1.7%, which I think is a lot, given that we do 60,000-70,000 orders a day. That's 1,000 bad experiences a day. And those 1,000 customers, if they are in the first 10 order journey, they'll drop off. So I'm assuming half of them would be first 10 order journey. So 500 customers we lose forever purely because we had one bad operating day at a 1.6% bad defect rate. And defect rate includes late deliveries. Half of them are late deliveries. Only 0.8 would be something off, bad taste or something else. So, so that's how bad it is. So, yeah.
And do you really see any benefit outside of course, the team and supply chain and stuff for being this house of brands? Maybe there is supply side benefits and stuff, but customers deliberately here, I don't know that Nomad and Olio are the same company. That's okay.
It is just supply side efficiencies. That's a lot of efficiencies, though. I think by being five different brands or being one house of brands, you can get 5% EBITDA leverage. And that's what is important. 1% will come from aggregators because they will give you better rates, 1% from sourcing, 1% from employee cost, 1% from rental cost. And so you have to be like really at it. But you can be 5% better off if you just integrate. If you are a true holding company, assuming that I don't operate them together, I'm just a true holdco, my group EBITDAs can be 5% better if I operate them together, which is
That's
a lot of leverage given that food is a 10% EBITDA business. If 10 can go to 15, you are building a generational company. And on the customer side, it's better not to tell them. They would not want to know that, okay, I sell a chaat and a pizza.
yeah.
They may not take it seriously. So,
Yeah. The only person who's allowed to do that, I guess, is Saravana Bhavan or one of the that you go eat everything from biryani to cha.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Unilever has 10 soaps brands, right? But I think 90% people don't know that. So
No, exactly. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, all of these are big house of brands themselves. Okay, I'm getting the questions, Ankit, last 15 minutes. So one of the questions is actually from Ruhani, who's talking about the gross margin. How do you prevent the challenges of less gross margin in food business? Can you just throw some light on, at least the higher order business model?
yeah, I think gross margin is a very simple calculation of your selling price minus your sourcing cost. And you need to operate both very, very effectively. If you're running a food business, and I'm giving a common answer for packaged and cooked food, the selling price is now completely dictated by the platforms, because they have such amazing offer funnels and you can't not be there. So you need to have a very simple rule. If your cogs are 100 rupees, your MRP has to be 400, because it's a well-researched number now for me. 25% will go into your commissions or channel margins. Another 10% will go into marketing. 25% will go into logistics, and 25% will go into your overall holdco costs, etc. So to build a design of 25% will land you at 15% because there's so much leakage in the system, right? So 1:4. For fashion, I say it's 1:5 because there is also a concept of unsold inventory, etc. So I would say 1:4 is the ratio, and that's the thing. This will give you enough wriggle room for bad days. To achieve 1:4, to get anything in 25 rupees food cost or 25% food cost, you need to have extremely efficient sourcing and novel ideas. So if you're selling an idli, you can't outprice yourself also. You can't sell it for 120. 90 for two is a decent price point, which means you need to procure the idli, cook the idli and sambar and the chutney with the packaging at 24 rupees, 23 rupees. Not impossible, but don't do the food business if you can't achieve this.
No, it's very fair. The other part, Ritvik is asking, do you look at dependency on Zomato and Swiggy as a risk? Would you want the future of Curefoods to include expansion across the value chain? And sort of a related question, what is the ideal split across, let's say, your own site versus all the platforms versus offline?
Own site, I think we have just completely given up on that journey, Rajiv, because it's just super expensive to compete with Swiggy and Zomato for that keyword. They will have a keyword saying order EatFit. We will do the same thing. No point competing. They are extremely efficient at what they do. Really great partners. I see no risk there. Today, like I said, 30% of our 28% of our revenue comes from offline channels. For me, the ideal split is 50-50 online, offline, where 50% comes from my offline channels. And of that 50%, Swiggy, Zomato will be split as per their market share. It will be amazing to see how that pans out. I, 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 I want to talk about Swiggy, Zomato specifically, given that what they've done to the ecosystem is just create thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs across both packaged and food markets, and not just packaged food, cosmetics and whatnot. I think those platforms are like App Store and Play Store, and any app developer does not worry about being tied to them. 100% of the revenue and downloads come from there. People have tried third app store. They've tried direct downloads of their SDKs and all that. So I think that it won't work. You just need to align yourself with the market. And good news is both Swiggy and Zomato are in for really, really long run. Both are listed with like 1 lakh crore market cap now. They're not going anywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good, actually, in a way. Yeah, absolutely fair point. Next question is from Gandharv, and it's a very fair question, which is when you're talking to VC here, just curious, where in food or fitness do you see any venture scale or venture fundable business in India? When do it's a larger question, maybe a lot of food businesses, especially as leave aside as hobbies, but maybe a lot of food businesses should probably not even raise venture capital money. What's sort of your, I would say, model of when to raise, when not to raise, and
any business which cannot hit 100 crore scale in food should not raise venture capital, because there is no way to return that capital. At 100 to 300 crore journey, Rajiv, you can value the company at 1,000 crores, and like at 200 to 300 crore revenue, 1,000 crore plus, and you may start getting opportunities to consolidate with a larger group. You may start seeing opportunities to probably list it yourself, at a 300, 400. I remember I was chatting with Deepinder in his podcast, and I said, anyone with a 200 crore food revenue should list the company at 1,000 crores market cap. And I really feel we'll see a dozen of them. The three house of brands, Wow, Momos, all of us are much larger scale, but I think we'll see a dozen food IPOs in the coming. Biryani by Kilo, they're all 200 to 2,000 crore range right now. And if you feel that you cannot do 100 crores, you should not raise capital, external capital. You can get debt, you can get investors. In food, there's a concept of investors, which are just nothing but debt, but they fund your capex and you give them 1% return every month. It's like non-risky capital. It comes from your friends, family. People love this concept. Most restaurants are running that way. Like 80% restaurants are running that way. 100 crore in revenue means almost 50 locations. So being able to do 40 locations, 25 lakhs per 20 lakhs per month as a bare minimum. 40 locations is very tough. So if you don't think you can hit 40 stores, never raise venture capital.
Wow, that's a great template, actually. Um, Food in Indian, food in Indian trains and platforms are the worst quality. Is there a business there?
Yeah. So I think what we just piloting it there. Zomato and Swiggy now have started with IRCTC, by the way, ability to deliver at the at the station. So if you're traveling from Delhi to Bombay and you say, I'll cross Ahmedabad at 9 p.m. So you can actually pre-place your order on Zomato or Swiggy through IRCTC partnership, and there will be someone standing there with your order. One is that. Second, there was a tender during pandemic where I don't know what happened to that, where even the railway ministry was seeking to set up multiple food court kind of a model at stations, where when you go onto the train, you have an option to choose from a Domino's pizza to a EatFit salad. And it did get pilot. We did participate in it, but it was a bad timing. Yeah, pandemic. The occupancy in the train was just 15%, and I think that just lost its steam. But this one is pretty scaled up. Actually, this initiative of IRCTC, where you can order on Swiggy, Zomato, and it gets delivered at a station, is pretty scaled up right now. I think, if I'm not wrong, is doing tens of thousands of orders now. Yeah.
Oh, that's high. There's one question here, which is there any hack outside of raising from friends and family and the 1,000 customer point for someone who wants to just do bootstrapped?
Tough. I think the hack is just to start as a cloud kitchen first and prove the concept and then go offline. The minimum investment for a cloud kitchen would be about 7-8 lakhs for one concept, which could be one cuisine. With that, you can scale to 100 orders a day. That's 3,000 orders times 300, almost like 10 lakh kind of a revenue. Then you still will need friends and family around. That just proves the fact that people like your food, but you still have to build a business. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'm going to skip some of these questions. Like, how do you last 5 minutes? I think we talked about validating your idea. What are your thoughts on the recent rise in plant-based foods?
Yeah, see, I'll tell you, globally, if I specifically talk about the lab-grown meat, globally, the lab-grown meat is actually not for people who are vegans or vegetarians. In US and Southeast Asia, people who were already eating meat, they are taking up that as a meat replacement, as opposed to vegetarians and vegans taking it up. So the market is still small, Rajiv, and uh, two categories. One is dairy, and second is meat, where we are seeing examples of oat milk, almond milk, and then the soya and the all those kind of tempeh and kind of products. I think in India there is no B2C play yet. In premium locations, you'll see B2B play. But anyways, that's how the businesses are always built. A ketchup came to our plate because American diners were serving that ketchup, which was actually called catsup back then. And they were serving this in their diners, and people would say, "Oh, now the sauce which I ate at the diner is available in the shopping mall aisle, and I'll pick it up." So food is always restaurant first, and then you pick it up in the aisles. So I think for it to become I get a few proposals as an angel investor for investing into these concepts. I like, until and unless it becomes mainstream in restaurants and cafes and diners and QSR, the day we start eating a fake meat burger at McDonald's at 25% replacement rate, that's when you can build D2C brands around it. But that's how always food comes. Food always comes in Horeca and then goes to the supermarket aisle.
Interesting. The next few questions, Ankit, choose to do it quick, so that we
Yes.
can cover like 7, 8. They're all more, smaller questions. Actually had one question before I get to this. Do you think there's any new international trend that is going to catch up in India? Like, is there some kind of food, or let's say maybe Epigamia brought this whole Greek yogurt and stuff like that? Is there anything that's catching up?
I think Korean is a massive cultural thing, and we'll see a lot of Far East food coming into India. So I'm betting very heavily on Korean cuisine in India.
Interesting. And have you seen any QSR juice chart scaling up? Is there, I know you guys have a chart brand.
No, but
What is
there's no
the
leverage
decadent
there.
there?
There is no scale leverage there. The best juice brands are actually the juice centers in Bangalore. They're able to price at 40 rupees and do local sourcing. No scale leverage there. No point doing that.
Got it. Who, according to you, is the best cloud kitchen provider in India
Uh,
outside of you guys?
Cure Foods, but my favorite brand right now is the ITC MasterChef. It's
Oh,
unbelievable.
interesting. And you talked about that. How do you view meal replacements? Is that something you folks have
Very
considered?
niche. We ourselves have a few products, oatmeal and this and that. Very niche. 1% India. So you can think of it just South Bombay, South Bangalore, South Delhi thing. Yeah.
Got it. What's your take on nutraceuticals?
Massive category getting built there. A lot of misinformation. I really worry about the quality of products. It's crazy, Rajiv, how I don't browse social media much, but I think right now if you browse that, all you see is gut products, or maybe it's just targeted.
Yeah.
Every company has a gut product, right? I don't know what goes into that. And the worst thing is there is no regulation. The FSSAI, the only certificate they need is FSSAI license, which is actually a location license. It's not for the food. FSSAI is that this facility is fit to serve food. That's what FSSAI means. But they are just selling it left, right, and center. Even we are trying some products out, but I'm just very worried. I think it'll be great business. Anything that works on fear psychosis, unfortunately, works. So yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I can see some of the brands starting to use celebrities also there. What do you think of, I'm going to rephrase this. What do you think of tier 2 markets? Like, do you see beyond the top 5, 6 cities as a big market in anything related to food?
Actually, the city number 50 to 100, I think, is a gold mine right now. But offline concepts. I think I have seen it with two brands now, Fuzzy Cafe and Social. I think they're doing extraordinary numbers, Rajiv, in city number 55, 60, 65. Anyone who has courage to set up offline stores in these cities, they'll build a big business.
Got it. What about kid snacking or kid foods, as in food that are kid friendly?
Yeah. I think they'll be topical. There's some people building it, some friends building it. Some of them are doing a good job. I think it will not be like a large business, but it will be good, decent business if you're able to get the product right and really clean. That's very
fair. Anything that you guys did on the online experience, or I know now that you said it's a bit deprioritized. Anything else which someone can do just on getting marketing, digital marketing or app experience, right?
I think pre-ordering of meals was a big hack for us. I know Swiggy, Zomato have tried it, deprioritized it, but what worked for us, Rajiv, was just the pre-order and instruction of leave it on my table, leave it on this floor, leave it with the guard, because it was specifically for that person who's in a meeting and does not have time to take out the phone and order in that heated moment, right? Imagine you're in a meeting and phone nikal ke I'm ordering now and someone calling. So pre-order with don't call me, leave it with the guard is a pristine experience, because then you like it's almost like you carrying dabba from home, because once you're out of the meeting at 1 p.m., you go down and you see a dabba lying there, nothing like it.
On that note, Ankit, thank you so much for your time. It's been a masterclass for the last 1 hour for everything food for a lot of people, and I'm sure a bunch
I'm
of
hoping I'm hoping it was useful for people. So
it was extremely useful. It's like even people who are supposed to be investing are like suddenly becoming foodies and like, okay, we need to put more food brands. But I think it's a massive opportunity. And the way you thought about, I think a lot of stuff that you said, right, in terms of ambition, in terms of just passion for the space, in terms of the operational complexity, I think people don't realize till very late as to what the complexity of scale in this business is. And really, economies of scale just don't happen in food. It's just the polar
there is
opposite.
no economies of scale. Yes, yes.
Literally, right? Outside of obviously sourcing supply chain. And but thank you so much. Best wishes in all the new brands you want to launch and all the news around who all you'll acquire. But all the best for the IPO, and I'll catch up with you soon outside.
See you soon.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much,
Bye.
Ankit.